So our first presentation is from Moby, who's of course one of our Hug leaders here at Sydney Hug. So the whole point of this is to ask yourself the question, where do you start with your video marketing strategy? We had a lot of questions last time about video marketing. Video is such a big driver in all communication marketing today. So how do you start with video marketing? What type of videos work best at different stages of the buyer journey, the buyer funnel? You're going to find that and more with the Video Marketing Fundamentals Best Practice in 2018. From Red Pandas Digital, please welcome Moby Siddique.
I'll hold that in front of me. So just while I get mic'd up, where's our little clicker?
Just hold that.
Okay, I can see what you mean with like three things.
It's a juggling act.
Okay, awesome. First thing I'd like you guys to do before we even get going is pull out your smartphones. Is this going to work? Let's see if it works. Yeah, it does work. Okay, pull out your smartphones. Usually you're asked to put them away. I want you to do the opposite. Pull them out. I can see if you have them or not. And then go to this URL here. You can see it at the top, polev.com/redpandas863. So if you can't see it, ask a friend. I'm going to leave it up for a minute. What I want to do before we even get into it, I want to understand where you guys are in your state of video marketing, right? And I think it's also important for you guys to know as well, what about everyone else? Where are they? So you're going to be presented with a bunch of questions. Has anyone got to that screen yet? It will ask you to put your name first. Okay, looks like people are doing something, so it should be working. What I want to know is, okay, so what is the state of video marketing in your organization? Firstly, we see the need but are in a poor state. Less than 2 videos created this year. So it's 2018 and you've created less than 2, okay? You're in the poor state. The second one is we see the need but are in a moderate state. So we've created more than 2 in 2018, but we wish we did more. The third one is we see the need and we're crushing it. We're doing about 1 or 2 videos monthly, right? And the final one is I don't really see the need for video. So I'd be curious to, don't press it just to be a smart ass, because I want to speak to those people at the end to see why. But yes, I'll leave it up for a minute or two. We see the need but are in a poor state. We see the need but are in a moderate state. We see the need and we're crushing it. So this will tell me how many have done it. 24. Okay, so that's interesting. Poor state. Okay, awesome. Okay, so you're in the right presentation then. I really did wish someone did click the other one because I wanted to speak to them afterwards and just sort of see who thinks they don't need video. Okay, like I said, I think this is cool because not only does it establish for yourselves and for us where you guys are, but you can see where everyone else is as well and where are they struggling. All right, who's that smartass? That's probably Tasha. Oh, okay, all right, fine. Okay. Fine. All right, so look, this slide is almost redundant. Video marketing is a no-brainer. I've only got one slide on this. What I find interesting about the first stat, this is saying every single year since YouTube has been out, and YouTube started in 2005, there has been a 100% increase on average in terms of usage. Every single year. Insane. Now, Unbounce did a study a couple of years ago, and they found that if you put a video on a landing page, you're likely to get an 80% increase in conversions. There's a bunch of studies out there, some say 60, some say 70, but all of them say above 50%. And what about buying? So that's a lead, right? Well, you're 64% more likely to buy something if you've seen a video, either consciously or subconsciously, whether you see the video and that's your hook, or whether you've been remarketed to a video. So that's cool. So I guess if I had a hope, if I had an objective of this chat, it would be 2 things. Firstly, you walk away realizing that video marketing is a lot easier than you thought. Definitely a lot easier than you thought. I'd like for you to think that, and by the end of this, hopefully you do see this, that video is actually easier to create than written content. And that's because you can turn it into so many other forms. And secondly, a bit of a framework. So where do you go from here? So it's all nice to have this strategy and in theory, but I've got some practical sort of advice for you as well. Okay, so there's a few fundamentals, a few rules I think we all need to keep in mind. And the first one is it doesn't matter if you're a team of 5 or 500, it's not about budget. You really need to start seeing video marketing as a culture in your organization. So what a lot of the brains in the content marketing world are saying is 50% of your content should be video. And there's a reason for that. 1, it works, but 2, it's not to say that, because on a page, it's arguable that written content ranks better. it's so much easier to take a video into a written piece of content, into a social media ad, into YouTube ads or whatever. It's so much easier. So you really do need to start building that culture. It's not about whether you have the time or the resources, or if you're Procter & Gamble and you can afford it. I still say to those types of clients that you still need to build a video. And that's because there's really two types of video you need to think about when you think of video, which I'll get into. Now, who owns video? So as sort of the sales manager, you don't get to dish off the responsibility and say, oh, our leads suck. You know, it's the leads coming in are bad. And as the marketer, you are the custodian of the strategy. You're, I guess, the glue that brings people together. You need to own the process, and you need to have a framework, which hopefully by the end of this, you guys can sort of see that. Now, I sort of mentioned there's two types of video. They're really, I like to sort of see as high production video. So this is not trying to say to you guys, you know what, you don't need to pay a videographer. They're very talented. They're very good at what they do. They don't use hacky gear like I do. They're very good at what they do. And there's a place for that. So that type of video is more for your promotional videos. If you ever run video ads, event videos, explainer videos, and sort of promo videos, that sort of stuff. There is a time and place for that type of video. Then you've got the in-sourced video. Notice I've called it in-sourced video. I didn't say /low production because I believe you can get to some good production. So that is your more marketing video. So when I sort of said before, 50% of your content should be video, you have to almost treat it like articles. And really, and not, if I'm really honest, in Australia, for some reason, we're a few years behind our US counterparts. But what they're really good at doing in the States is banding together sales and marketing teams and getting, a smart marketer will always get other people to do their work. So get them to come up with the ideas and turn that into content. You still own the process, but you're using other people's brains for that body of work. So in-source video, your content marketing videos, your web content. So think of an article as a video, for instance. Trade shows, events, Facebook Lives, that sort of stuff. It all works quite well. In terms of some examples, I'm not going to try that. It would have been good, but we tried it before, it didn't work. So in terms of the video itself, it's not about the quality of your content. It's always about, it is about the quality of your content. It's never about the videography skills. So I'd love for you guys to think about that. But what's really, really interesting, and just really quickly, actually, I'll share these examples. This was a Facebook Live. One of our clients, two lovely ladies, they're in childcare, they're carers. Not one of my clients or any of the leaders here have a client who's an actor. If they're an actor, they're not coming to us. They're off making money and supporting charities that, don't do much. They're doing things, right? But one of the easiest ways is just to get people together, just for them to have a conversation. And something like this is really good content because we all know our subject matter areas so well. Often it's just trying to get people to talk. The other one here is, I love this. If you've been to a content marketing conference in the last 5 years, we've all been flogging this one. This is by a company called Sacrete, and it's the most driest thing you could think of. It's how to make a concrete slab with Sacrete. I'm not handy at all. I don't know what to do with a hammer, but even I know you dig a hole and you put some concrete, right? This video has had, and I did this a while ago, 1.3 million views. 1.3, and look at it. I mean, they didn't even use a proper camera. You've got the letterboxing on the side and everything. What I found really, really interesting though, because I did a presentation like this almost exactly a year ago, and it's interesting how much video has changed. So if you came to the last HubSpot user group, you would have seen me have a bit of a whinge about people who think they're Ellen, they grab a phone, like, oh, look at me, I'm on the beach and I'll give you some advice. I mean, maybe that's for Facebook, but not for LinkedIn, not for your polished videos. No one cares, right? No one's that important. So last year, the year before, they had Inbound. And in 2016, they were saying, look, it's the era of authentic video and live video. And I still think there's a place for live video, but videos now, I believe, need a bit of polish. Because like everything, marketers will eventually ruin everything. We'll eventually ruin chatbots and we'll have to figure something else out to do. So we will do that, right? So because of that sort of entry point, in my opinion, they do need to have a little bit of polish, even the ones you do internally. So hopefully I can help you with that here today. I usually don't do this too much, or I kind of get into gear, but one of the things that inevitably is in people's minds, and it would be in my mind too, is how do I actually do this stuff? Sure, people say just get a smartphone, but really, like, how do I do this stuff? How do I get videos to that level where they can represent our brand, whether we're a startup or whether we're a reputable brand? How do I get them to that level? So I want to talk about that. firstly, there's a couple of things that work really well. If you have bad lighting, you can look like, see, the thing is I'm dark, so it makes it even worse, right? But it looks like, if you saw it properly, it does look like I've just woken up. And the other one, I look like a vlogger. I look a lot more, probably, have a lot more expertise than I really do. So it's amazing what lighting can do. And lighting is really sort of, I guess, one of the 3 key fundamentals. In terms of the stuff itself, so this whole section is how can you have a quality kit for less than $500, well below $500. eBay's your friend here, right? So I bought a couple of light boxes, and honestly, I bought this years ago. You can get those little LED ones that aren't as sort of big as an old TV, $135. One of the things with this sort of gear is don't be scared by it, because you read about sort of 3-point lighting, you need 2 lights here, 1 light there. My advice is just get a couple of lights, and if it looks good on camera, it's good enough. Like my tripod there, sometimes I have it backwards, and I'm sure real videographers are walking past cringing, but it works. Like, no one is none the wiser, right? No one knows, so it doesn't really matter. So my advice would be, if you don't want to get that, or you're not ready to buy that, or you think you won't use it, then just have good lighting. But if you want to increase that polish just a little bit, get a couple of lamps, see what that looks like. Don't worry too much about that. If you do a couple of videos and you want to start playing with different angles and lighting, then you can worry about that. But even me, I've got 3 lights. Often I'll just use 1 because I'm too lazy, and it looks okay. Smartphones, right? This is one of the things that comes up a lot. What can I get away with? Only in the last probably 7 months have I actually gone out and invested in a proper camera. I've got a better phone now, but I had the iPhone 6s for ages. And in my opinion, if you can get a 6S or a Samsung S6, whatever they're called, that's good enough. These things are far more powerful than those little cyber shots. And even them, with a little bit of lighting, it just takes that polish. So the polish is often not from the fact that these cameras are tiny, the size of less than a 5-cent coin. The fact that there's good audio and good lighting, that's what gives it the polish. Wireless audio. So I've got one here at the moment. This is a Rode, but what I started with was a WMS Pro. And the reason why I liked it is, and I recommend this for anyone if you do a lot of events or if you go to conferences. Every year, a lot of us go to Inbound, and every year when I go to Inbound, I take this kit with me. I have one connected to my smartphone, and then I have my microphone connected to it. So I'll have a microphone like this, I'll have it connected to my smartphone, and I can do little kind of, pop-up vlogs. The beauty of this too is it can kind of grow with you. So I used this for like 2-3 years. I connected this to a camera, and the other one was connected to, my person, and it works quite well. I only upgraded because someone dropped their one in the toilet, and that happens too. So it is what it is. Yeah, so I had to get a better one. Okay, so tripod attachment. This one here, and I've tried to, where there was a lot of choice, I really tried to dumb it down for you guys. So this one here, it's called a Zomi M3, $50. I'll tell you something, that one there is from Aldi, and it's even less than that, and it works fine. And these things too. So these little sort of iPhone holders, you pop one on, you have some lighting, you have good audio. So lighting, audio, a semi-decent camera, and honestly, that's all you need. But what about editing? Now, this sort of stuff in terms of software, since I sort of started, there's stuff on your phone for free, whatever, but I wanted to share what I'm comfortable using and what I use. There's this thing called, what is it, Movavi, right? $59. Now, the reason why I don't know how to say that very well is because to be honest with you, I use Camtasia. So Camtasia is $199, that's what I use. But these guys here, they're kind of like, a lot of these brands have just built their brands off copying HubSpot. What can we just copy their feature set and we'll build a brand off that? It's kind of like that. So these guys have almost like for like copied Camtasia for a fraction of the price. And the only reason I'm on Camtasia is because I bought it, and again, I don't want to sort of change systems. So yeah, the entire thing with your lighting, with your software, $434, right? So really, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. You get it all shipped to your house or your office and it's going to be easy. The first day you're going to fart around for probably 3 or 4 hours. But once you've done it once or twice, it is so easy. And you don't have to start with everything. Maybe you get a wireless kit like this. You connect it to your phone. You start going to conferences. If you ever have I don't know, if you're at a booth, exhibition hall or something, interview your guests or whatever it is, at least you'll have some form of content. It's amazing what live content or in-the-moment content can do for your business. Okay, fundamental number 3. The camera isn't as scary as you think. So it's interesting. I forget how scared I was jumping in front of a camera, only because it was so many years ago. And what reminded me was Tasha, who's over there, you might have met her at the door. I said, all right, Tasha, we've got to get in front of the camera now. And she was saying things that I had in my mind years ago. It's like, I don't like my voice, or I don't like my hair, or look at my, what. She wasn't saying this, I say this, right? I don't like my pimples, I don't like that. But it's actually not as scary as you think. People don't really care, really. At the end of the day, it really is about content. But I will give you a couple of tips. I mentioned this before, having conversations. It is one of the biggest hacks I can give you in terms of creating your content. Now, a lot of clients that we have, honestly, sometimes some of the best content comes from technical people. So, software as a service company, for example, the sales guys, and not to shoot down the sales guys, they're great at talking, but there's no depth there sometimes, right? But with the engineers, with our friend Daniel over there, these guys are geniuses, right? And not everyone's as extroverted as Daniel. He said, don't look around, Daniel. Everyone's going to know you in a second. So these guys are really, really good at what they do, but often, sometimes the nature of their roles, they're sort of introverted. I'm sure you guys have seen this. If you can get someone talking about their subject matter area, they will not stop. I'm a case in point. We do not stop. It doesn't matter if you're introvert, extrovert, they don't stop. So one of the best ways to bring that out is just to have a conversation. Whether it's yourself, whether it's someone else, having conversation about a case study or about a product or service. It's one of the easiest ways to get content out in the wild. Smile like an absolute creepo. And I mean that. It's amazing what the camera does. So the whole concept of resting bitch face? So when I met my wife, she said, Moby, you've got resting bitch face. So since then, I always try to go that extra sort of step. So, because I know if I'm just normal, people are going to think I'm upset, but I'm not. On camera, this is exemplified for whatever reason. So you have to hi, before you even hit record. Okay, I'm going to smile like an idiot. Okay, hi, how are you today? Da, 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 da. You have to do that. That's what you have to do. If you can kind of keep some of those fundamentals in, have some structure, that will, and when you watch it back, it will actually look okay. Okay, fourth fundamental, the 3 types of video you must create now. So like I said, I want to leave you guys with a bit of a framework, how you get started, but let's start with some basic building blocks. Often, and by nature of the market, sometimes for people like me, my job is actually quite easy because it's one thing to say, okay, let's get videos, we'll do some trade shows or whatever, but then often, and I'm sure many of you are like that here, you don't even have a good why us video. You don't even have a good about us video. Like, this is who we are and this is what we do, this is our soul, this is how we're different. A lot of people don't even have that. So often one of our agency's biggest cash cows is getting people having their fundamentals and then trying to instill a bit of a culture. So before you even get to that sort of content marketing culture or videos, once a month or twice a month, there's some fundamentals you definitely need to have in place. The first one is the why us video, referenced it a little bit earlier. And the idea of this is very, very simple. What do you do? Who are you? What are your values? I'll go back. So for example, all of these I've got quotes. So these are actual videos that we've had, and I've put quotes here that I think exemplify or are the essence of a video like this. So for this one, our goal is to give people freedom from glasses and contact lenses to pursue their activity of daily living and hobbies. So these guys do laser eye surgery. Who are you? Well, I'm Dr. David Robertson. We do laser eye surgery. But in terms of who they are, they want to give people freedom from glasses. Now, you're blending sort of what you do, your mission and your values and what you do. But a lot of people don't have this. If you do have videos, often you will have this. So there are a couple of other videos that you should have. See, and if you're on a budget, you just get your agency to jump in, cheap talent. So the second type of video is the process or the consultation video, right? This is a really good example. So when we met this doctor, we said, look, take us through your process. What happens? How do people sort of engage with you? How do they become a customer? And they took us through and they said, look, people come in and then we spend an hour and a half and then they come back and I'm like, whoa, hold on. Did you take money for this hour and a half? Like, no. I'm like, wow, so you give an hour and a half of your time for absolutely free. They see the doctor, they see someone with one machine, they see someone else with another machine, and you don't charge for it and you're not even promoting it. But the thing is, it might not sound interesting to us in our own businesses, but it is to other people. So you need to show people. One of my marketing heroes, Marcus Sheridan, always says, don't tell me, show me. a USP, if you have a USP, whether it's customer service or whether it's speed or whatever it is, it's actually not a USP until you can actually show people. So that's the other thing to keep in mind. It doesn't mean squat until you can demonstrate it. So break down the steps required to engage with you. So we've been speaking to a real estate agent at the moment, and it's a very, very different model to typical real estate agents. So I've said to that gentleman is you need to kind of break that down. What do people do? How do you value their homes? How do you get them the best, price? How do you connect them with mortgage brokers or whatever? Break down those steps required. And this is definitely the case with B2B, definitely, but even with B2C as well. But if you're in B2B, then this is a no-brainer. Demonstrate the duty of care and empathy of your service. So a quote that really reflects this type of video for me in this particular example is, our comprehensive eye examination begins with a consultation to assess suitability of options to the patient. And of course the video goes that length how they do that. They come in, we match their lifestyle, we ask them questions, and then we give them a solution accordingly. The final video is, and this is really obvious when you think about it, but it's just amazing how many people won't have these three videos. The final one is the testimonial video, or call it the case study video, or call it the social proof video, whatever. The key behind this video is for you to demonstrate the before and after state. Exactly like a case study. A job of a case study, whether it's written or video, is to say, okay, background, problem, we came in, happily ever after. Before and after state. That's all you need to worry about when it comes to a case study. We've often seen case studies where, and just in general, right, where we've seen a whole page of case studies. But it's just sort of like, this is what we did for them, this is what we did for them, or maybe results. There's not much structure. But if you follow that background, before, after state, you're probably in good stead, and that's all really people care about when it comes to a case study. Reflective of your ideal typical patient. Of course, I'm not going to go into it here, but many of you use HubSpot, many of you don't, but most of you will know the idea of personas. You can't be all things to all people. There's certain things that motivate people to make a decision in this persona group versus another persona group. So obviously, try to find those people, your ideal clients, and put them in. And the psychological effect is powerful. So I think it was Ed Cialdini. He talks about Persuasion. It's a book if you're into the psychology of how people make decisions. Persuasion, I think, is the book. And he talks about it's amazing what effect it has when you say someone is great, even when it's from the same organization. So if I called up a real estate agent and Sally picks up and Sally says, you know what, you're in the inner west region, I'll put you in touch with, I don't know why I said Toby, I might have well have said Moby. Put you in touch with Toby, he's great in that region, he's got more clearance rates than anyone else. By the time I speak to Toby, I've already got this perception of him. I don't even realize it, but I've already been sold to. And that's how these work as well. They're very, very powerful, even if it's got your logo in the corner, it doesn't make a difference. So I think the quote that exemplifies this in this particular example again is, I can't imagine now having to wear glasses now for every minute of my life. So that before after state, what does that look like? How can you bring that out in your videos? And think about the application as well. So a lot of this is common sense, but I thought it'd be good to sort of put it in one list, is your website, obviously. Your Why Us video should always be on your homepage video. Your Why Us video, or your process video actually, maybe in your autoresponders. A lot of you guys have HubSpot. Be interesting to know how many of you actually have, when an inquiry comes in, they get an email and it says, thank you so much, we'll get back to you whenever. By the way, check out this video. This is how clients typically engage with us. Or, we hope we can treat you as well as this sort of case study here, and have that in your email address, have a fake play button on it, they click on it, it goes to your website. Your contact us page, a great place to put credibility cues, a great place to put case studies, autoresponders, mentioned that earlier, and email reception sends prior to an appointment. So there's two markets we work quite intensively in, education and medical. And what we try to get our medical clients to do is, when someone comes in, particularly in something like this where there's a lot of information, they've come in, send that, even manually. And a lot of these people don't have HubSpot, right? Manually send a video, check out this video, it explains our process, what you'll go through. So when that person comes in to see the doctor, without them realizing, they're further down the decision-making process. They're already aware, they already know their options, they're closer to sort of, signing on the dotted line, as it were, for lack of a better expression. Fundamental 5, and I think we're almost at the end here, how to get practical and commence a culture of video. Awesome. We all know video is important. I think 40% of you guys aren't doing it well. So how do we actually start? Well, the first thing would be is get buy-in from management and sales. So I mentioned earlier that, you know, it's not marketing who just owns it, it's not sales who just owns it, it's a collaborative effort. It should be fairly easy these days to explain the business case. One of the things I love doing is either when we're talking to our clients, show them stuff that the competitors have done, because no one likes to see what the neighbors are doing, or tell our key stakeholder, the marketing manager, to share some other examples from the industry. Works quite well. Get sales in a room and ask them questions about the conversations that they're having with their prospects, with their clients. Not even forget, give me ideas of videos, or we're going to do this awareness, consideration, decision. No, just tell me some of the conversations that you guys are having. And then maybe the next step to that is, what do you wish you could just sort of send to people just to save your time, just to get them off your back? It's a really good place to start. The next place to start is start with 20 titles. So at the end of this, I've shared a template, a resource for you guys just to sort of get you started. You will be amazed how fast it is to create 20 titles. Start with the basics, the who, what, why, how. So for example, you know, think of this real estate company. Who is real estate company X? What do they do? How are they different? Why do people love, say, HubSpot, for example? Why do people love Gucci? Doesn't matter what brand it is. Why do people love us? What is that sort of experience that, you know, gets them over the line, gets them talking about us? And why do people need something? So, for example, why does someone need a videographer? Why does someone need a real estate agent who specializes in apartment dwellings? Why does someone need a marketing agency? How to pick something, how to pick a real estate agent, how to pick a university, for example, how to pick a cosmetic surgeon. We've got one of those as well. And of course, the big three. So the why us video, the why us about you, the process, and the case studies as well. That's already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's not even doing multiple versions of how, for example. That's just using one version of how. Be specific. So one of the things you will do when you start this, and it takes a while to get your sort of juices flowing often, is you'll write things like quality or service. Don't do that, please. Be very specific. So for example, how to find the home of your dreams, how to pick a real estate agent, the telltale sign your agent is a crook, right? Things like that. Be really, really specific. So if you're thinking of service, translate that. What would that look like in a blog post, for instance? And then think about what that looks like with a video. Assign a plan with responsibilities. Determine what videos will be outsourced and what will be insourced. Now, truth be told, this is not necessarily the case for everyone. There's no golden rules, but the 3 videos I mentioned, you're probably going to get a videographer to do that. You might just go straight to a videographer who has some strategic capability. And the other thing to keep in mind as well, it's kind of like this, and I hope I don't offend anyone, but I always sort of say, you never go to buy a website just from a designer, because it'll be very pretty, and it'll be really nice, and you never just go to get it from a coder, because it'll be really technically proficient, but it might not be pretty, right? You need to go to a place or a development house that is a little bit more strategic, that ticks all the persona boxes, ticks the dev boxes, ticks the design boxes. The same thing here. There's a lot of people out there, and you can find out quite quickly that they just shoot video, but ask them a few questions. Ask for examples. Say, look, these are my objectives. I know I need these types of videos. What can you do for us? And you'll know very, very quickly whether it's just a video and we should have drones and we should have 3 or 4 angles. Maybe you can do with one. Whether it's just pretty or whether it's functional. You'll know pretty quickly. So chances are those 3 videos you will need to get someone. But the in-sourced ones, the ones where you're asking your salespeople questions and you're having those conversations, those you can do yourself, honestly. And once you start with those ideas, once you have that spreadsheet done, then it's very easy to say, yep, we'll do that one, we'll pay someone for that one, so on and so forth. Final takeaways. This is my final slide, nothing new here, but just to recap everything, you don't need to be creative. So start with the basics, start with the sort of 3 videos we always recommend, start with some of the common questions, and then go from there before you get really, really creative. Time isn't an excuse. Find a format that works for you. The way I like to look at this here is everyone knows, because it's been around for 20 years, everyone knows you need to have content, right? Everyone knows you need to sort of blog in some capacity. Yet we don't have time for it, but no one disputes the fact that you need it. I honestly, and again, I firmly believe video is so much easier to create, because if you don't want to create something that's high production, find something that works for you. If you're a very, if you're a very talkative person, speak to the camera. If you're not, or the talent you want to speak to isn't, have a conversation and record that conversation. And I think I've got this here as well. Where is it? Batching? Yeah, batching. Batching is key. Now, if you're kind of like me, you'll come up with all these ideas, and then you've got to find a time to do it. So my recommendation would be follow this process and then get half a day to a quarter of that day you'll be fiddling around with the equipment. The other half you'll pump out 3 or 4 videos or maybe more and do it that way. And then you might, if you do it properly, you will not have to do it again for an entire quarter. We've done videos from January that we're still syndicating out now. We've got plenty more to go. The stuff that I quickly went over, cost is not an excuse. Minimum you need is a cheap microphone. So I don't kind of agree, I'm a little bit picky, I don't agree you just need a smartphone, I reckon you need a microphone. You can get away with one less than $200. I think, in my opinion, that's what you need. Somewhere stable where you can keep it, a smartphone, and that's all you need. And you cannot take yourself too seriously. Shoot a conversation if you can. And you have to remember, no one cares about you. No one cares about me. People don't, and we're just like that. So I podcast as well. I'm on video as well, and I was terrified the first time I did it, But you have to realize it's just about the content. And if you can overlook that, I'm sure, we're all very beautiful looking people here. There are a lot uglier people than us who are doing a lot more videos and a lot more successful than all of us. So it's never an excuse. If anything, I'm glad, I'm happy I'm not beautiful because people won't take me seriously. So I'm fortunate, use your weakness as an advantage. And yeah, any other resources? So this, I interviewed this lady, Amy Schmidtauer. You may have heard of her. She's got this book called Vlog It Like a Boss. It's actually a little bit misleading because it's not just about vlogging, but it's a nice title. So yeah, she talks about how you structure a video. So we didn't get too technical because this is not a technical exercise today, but how you structure a video. One of the favorite things I like about her book, she talks about the fact that you've got 8 seconds in the video to capture someone. And even that honestly is probably pushing it these days. 8 seconds. So don't waste 8 of those seconds with a 6-second lovely music and your brand rolling in. People probably don't care. Just get to it. And if you've noticed, and hopefully after this you'll start seeing this in the wild, if you notice a lot of them just start, the videos just start. It's like, okay, how do you pick a great real estate agent? It starts, it doesn't have all that sort of fanfare around it. And also I interviewed her for episode 60 of my podcast. There's my face there. Believe it or not, I don't know if anyone here is a Snoop Dogg fan. The song Drop It Like It's Hot. Yeah? So I did a version of that to her title, Vlog It Like a Boss. So you can imagine how embarrassing that was. But I did it because I knew she'd be into it, because she's American and also she does it herself. So yeah, that's not a racist joke, by the way. I thought it was pretty funny. Secondly, the template. I promised you a template, and you can pick up this template. It's really, really basic, but sometimes you just need somewhere to start. It's not even complicated. So all it is you got your titles, which you put at the end. Who? So who is company X? And that could be more about your people, mission, why us. Who are key personnels from company X? Or who are the key personnel from company X? So that's who. What do you do? A couple of other examples. Why? A couple of other examples. How to pick whatever. Case studies, processes, and the big 5 content. So I'm not going to go into it, but there are types of content that people in decision mode, it pushes them to make a decision. So that sort of stuff is in there as well. bit.ly /video title template if you're too far and you can't see it. And finally, earlier this year or late last year, if you're interested in the type of stuff that I use personally, I'm not an expert at all in video marketing. I just want to know the bare minimum to do my job. Then I did a video and a article on all the gear that I have. The entire kind of kit of gear that I have. Half of the stuff I won't use, but you can sort of see what I sort of use. And I think that's it. Daniel, my friend.
Okay, thank you very much, Moby. Some fantastic stuff in there. So $500 you can get started. Who's going to do some video?
We're taking a quick break, right?